Welcome back, everybody. Episode 8 of season 2 of Ask the Stripper. I'm not the stripper. Molly's the stripper. How are you, Molly?
I'm swell. I'm doing well. Swell.
Swell and well.
Uh-huh.
We're recording on a Monday for the first time. I don't think we've done this before on a Monday.
I thought it felt weird. That's what it is.
How is your Monday going?
I'm good. I just am getting ready for work and got to bounce off to work after this. So
Nice. I've got a concert tonight, last concert of the year. Gorillas with my son. So that should be fun.
fun. I hope that's awesome. I bet that's going to be a great show.
Yeah, I hope so. It was pricey enough, as it always is at Vivint. But you've got a few questions in your queue for us to answer, for you to answer.
Yeah, there's a few more good ones that I really am happy and excited to get to. Let's see. First one I got here is, have you felt or heard of stripping helping with depression, etc., giving it cathartic nature on both sides? And I thought that was super, super interesting, very observant to ask. Because I do actually I think any physical activity is going to be beneficial to your mental health. So I definitely think having a job where you're, required to be physically active can be, I say that it can be very good for your mental health. But as I've also mentioned on here, it's also like a very high stress environment typically. Not always. I feel kind of bad now that I'm saying that out loud and that I've maybe painted things that way, but just that it has the potential to be very stressful, and it often is. Not that it's 100% of the time like that. But to me, and maybe it's just me, I doubt this, but I was gonna say maybe it's just me. I know that I kind of run high with anxiety. Like the other day I was about to go on stage, and people often, especially at the beginning of a shift, especially on a weekend, will often ask me like, hey, are you okay? What's wrong? Why, you seem like, upset or sad or something. And it's not that I'm not. I'm just nervous because the idea of performing tonight and getting in this headspace and the idea of like having to switch from my introverted self to my extroverted self like feels very daunting. And so I'm typically overwhelmed. And so I'm just kind of like staying to myself and being really quiet and really just trying to deal with like my own stress. But I still think even if you're not having that type of stress, it's just, the stress of being a performer, of being, sorry, a performer, a performer.
A performer.
A performer. Sorry, I had to drink my coffee, but yeah, I think I think it can be very good for your mental health. And speaking of being a performer, I think if you have that drive to do that and you're not having an outlet for that, it like hurts. It can like if you're like a performer at heart and you're not getting anywhere to like, get that out and to manifest that feeling, it's like, so in that way, I think it can also be helpful to your mental health. I think having a community has been really good for my mental health. And I see that with, I had a dinner with some dancers I haven't seen in a long time. And just that they were missing that, they missed that community and camaraderie that is there. And just kind of this built-in social circle, kind of like any job, like that just becomes your people and your friends. And when I've taken breaks, I've really missed that and feel like I don't really know how else or where else to get that. I'd have to create another, social circle to get that. And I do like that this person mentioned, that I do think there's cathartic elements on both sides of that. If you've been a sexually repressed woman or a sexually repressed man, I do think there's something very cathartic about going to a strip club and being able to experience sexuality in a very safe environment for the most part. I'm not going to say all strip clubs are safe, um, but that it's an opportunity to do that, and that can be, yeah, helpful to both people to feel, you know, normal human feelings that they've been shamed for.
Yeah. Yeah, that community I totally relate, because I don't go up to Wise Guys very often, but the times I do and kind of hang out a little bit, I feel, it feels much more complete than just, not. So I totally get that.
Yeah, and that's people that have a lot in common with you, have similar interests, have perhaps similar struggles. Like, that's part of what I love about our community is, like, I've said this and maybe I shouldn't say this because it sounds kind of bad, but it feels kind of like I've been to war with these women, like we've been through the best of times and the worst of times, like, together. And nobody gets a lot of my struggles the way that they do. So yeah, that feels really good. So yeah, but I do think I've also seen people struggle with mental health, being in the industry, and that sometimes the industry can compound that, because of the stress or because of sometimes difficult people. So yeah, I think it could go either way. For me, overall, has helped my mental health overall. My personal experience is that overall, I remove myself when it becomes not fun or too stressful, and then I get excited to go back. So when I can keep it in moderation and not just like be pushing myself to work every single day, it seems to overall really benefit my mental health. And so I do think it would help with depression or things like that. If you let it. I've had this idea recently that, like, someone liked that I was giving them a lot of good feedback and a lot of complimentary feedback, and they were thanking me for that. And in my head, I was like, you don't need to thank me. I'm just saying things that are true. And just the idea of allowing, I thought to myself, this person is allowing me to be helpful to them. They're allowing me to be encouraging to them. And not everybody allows that. And so the reason I'm connecting it to this is that if you let the industry be helpful to your mental health, then you will experience that. But if you're not in a place that you want positive, good things, then you're going to find the really toxic, negative things there, and you're going to align with that and have a really different experience. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Follow my line of thinking. Okay, should I move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Has being a stripper enhanced or dulled your sexual desires? This is one that occasionally comes up. Have we ever covered that here?
I think in the neighborhood, maybe not specifically worded this way, but
Yeah. I know my thoughts on it if I haven't shared them, or if I have, I'm not sure. But I know that I've seen that also go both ways, where I've known a couple dancers that do you remember that Seinfeld where he was trying to get her a massage therapist to massage him, and because he was dating a massage therapist, and she really didn't want to do that. And so I do think there's times like that where it's like, to be sexual is my job, and to have to be sexual when I come home is like work, but I haven't found that for myself. I think it actually boosts my confidence in that area and, like, increases my feelings of sexuality. And I've noticed, I think it's, yeah, just like anything else, it could go either way. It could be something that stamps that out for some women, and just really makes it feel like a job, to even, like, have to be thinking that way outside of work. But I haven't experienced that. I feel like, but I had a woman come to me who was dating a stripper, and she asked me kind of that same question, because she's like, we haven't had sex in like a year since they started, dancing. And I'm wondering if that's normal. And I didn't really know how to nicely say that I didn't think that was normal. Not that it's completely unusual or that it's not a risk with the industry, but that, like, for the most part, I don't see that being an issue for most of the women I know. I actually have known a couple dancers who felt very sexual and were not getting laid at home. That was kind of, met a lot of dancers like that, and that's kind of hard to get all kind of sexually aroused and then go home and have someone that like doesn't want to have sex with you. And I have wondered if sometimes for their partners, if something about them being in the industry made them feel not sexual, like, oh, well, this isn't a personal thing you and I share, this is something you do for work. And
Yeah.
so somehow subconsciously, like, they aren't desiring that as much anymore. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of all my experiences with that. It could go either way, just like the mental health thing, you know?
Communication is always best. That way you're not, reading mixed signals or, things wrong. Like you just said, the partner at home, feels like it's not for them. But maybe
Yeah.
talk about it, compartmentalize it.
Yeah. I've known dancers that, for example, like, only wore lingerie for their man at home and never would take that lingerie to work. Like things like that, like things that somehow indicated or gave a signal to their partner, like, there are certain things that are just for you. There are certain things that are just between us. And that, yeah, there's ways that if you, can articulate and discuss things openly, that there could be ways that, you can both nurture your sex life and not feel like this industry is somehow taking away from that.
Yeah.
But I've been lucky. Actually, all my last people I've dated, they don't even like lingerie. So like, I don't wear lingerie for them. I only wear lingerie at work. Lingerie does seem associated with just work for me. Like, I'm like, it doesn't, like, I don't think in my head, like, oh, I'm going to have sex. It's like, no, I'm going to go to work. And I do think I associate lingerie with being uncomfortable, and I don't really want to be uncomfortable when I'm having sex. And a lot of lingerie is very scratchy or binding. So yeah, I think of it as like, oh, uncomfortable things I wear to attract money. But yeah, I loved what you said about, communication being the thing to help there. I read this question last week when I got it, and help me decipher it.
Okay.
Big transition from religion to stage, question mark. I recall this and was drawn to your strength and elegance and ass. Sorry, they did a lot of like abbreviations. And so I'm like, I feel like the second part is a compliment and the first part is a question. Biggest transition from religion to stage.
Yeah, I think they're probably talking about your journey from being Molly Mormon to Molly the stripper.
Yeah, which I feel like we've covered quite a bit, but I'd love to find something new to touch on there, or even just that they said, what's the biggest transition? The first thing that came to my mind is that the biggest transition is that I felt free. I definitely found out later that there's other ways that you're not as free as a dancer, but initially it was a transition that felt like going from being repressed, like I said earlier, inhibited from doing the things I liked or enjoyed or wanted to do, into feeling, and a transition into feeling very free and
Yeah.
happy. But I wonder, I think they mean like negative transition, maybe. I don't know.
No, it worded kind of strange.
Biggest transition. I know I've touched on it this season. I know that the guilt is still something that's with me. And so that's been a difficult transition of like, freedom comes with guilt. You know, comes with
Yeah.
feeling, oh, maybe I shouldn't be so happy doing this because this is shameful. But I'm good at figuring like out what it was just some bunk ass brainwashing and what is the actual essence of me and how I feel.
Yeah, that other stuff's the shameful, stupid stuff, the Mormon stuff.
Yeah. Oh, this is from a dancer. Why is it so satisfying to tell a man he's an idiot in the club when he asks stupid questions? Why is it so satisfying? I think part of it is that most jobs you don't get to do that, right? The customer is always right. You might have to deal with the public and you have to deal with them in a way that they're always right, or if they mistreat you, you have to be nice to them. And our industry isn't really like that. I haven't seen much restraint on how you respond to a customer. And I think a lot of that is that if you're smart managers, you know that the women aren't going to be shitty for the sake of being shitty. They're usually being shitty because they've been like wildly mistreated by someone. And because they don't want to hurt their money, they'll try and have as good of customer service as they can because they want to do well and make money. But yeah, the ability to say whatever the fuck you want most of the time is probably part of what's so satisfying. Or that often like they don't realize that, like they think it's going to be like the Apple store or Denny's. I don't really know. I'm trying to think of places where you might work where people, I don't know. I feel like Denny's is pretty hood. I feel like they'd tell you what the fuck was up if you acted out in any kind of way. I feel like they're like strip club equivalent in that way.
Denny's, you can use that tagline.
Yes, that's your new tagline. Strip club equivalent. But yeah, often they're not expecting you to be able to be candid in that way. So then that's, I think the other, sorry, I got a little cough today. I think that's the other satisfying part, is that the look on their face when you're like, oh, you could suck my dick, or like whatever you feel like saying to them. You can literally go fuck yourself. Or sometimes we have very clever ways of saying things because we are prepared for people to like say shit to us. We know that shit's coming our way at some point and we're ready. And so sometimes we've got like some, really good verses for them.
Suck my dick's pretty clever.
Yeah, just like suck my dick. But yeah, I think sometimes they're like, oh, I can't, how dare this dancer insult me this way? And the best part is either they take it because they're like, I don't think anyone here is gonna like take it well if I go tattle tits on this stripper, like they're looking around and there's just like no one that they feel like they could do that with. Or if they do, most of the time, not all the time, most of the time, the bouncer, the manager, whoever's going to side with the dancer. Yeah. And so that's even funnier because it's like, oh, you thought you were going to go tattletale on me, when in reality, you just outed yourself as like someone who was being shitty to me, and that I had to react to you that way because you were being shitty to me.
Yeah.
And now you're going to either be asked to leave or like, something, like it's not going to end up usually the way you thought it would. But why else is it? I try not to really do a lot of like telling people they're idiots for asking stupid questions. But we do have just a laundry list of really stupid questions that we get a lot. So I get it. I get why it's like, there was one, I want to say I might have talked about this, but there was a dancer recently. And a lot of these dancers, like I've talked about at my club, or even a lot of clubs, there's some very accomplished women in the industry, particularly at my club. And this woman is a master, I can't even say it, master esthetician.
Esthetician, yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know why my mouth is like, we can't do that. But she's not only a master, she teaches classes on this. So her level of knowledge on this is high. And somebody came in, a guy, and was telling her that he was a master esthetician. And they started chatting about it. And he basically was like, he was trying to like mansplain things to her. And she was trying to explain to him, like, I actually teach classes in this, bro. Like I'm on your level, but slightly higher, because I think she's done it longer than him and she teaches the classes. And then he flat out said something to her like that he didn't believe or something that she did that. And so I think she said some very like schooling things to him, and then she just bounced. She just was like, and then it actually bit him on the ass, because he had like something scheduled with another dancer, like some kind of, chemical peel or something like that. And once this woman went and told the other woman, like, oh, this guy mentioned he has an appointment with you, and let me tell you the way he interacted with me. That dancer canceled. She was like, she literally called him and was like, I heard you talk to my friend like that, and I don't really appreciate that. And it didn't make me want to like get services from you, you know? And so, yeah, it almost feels like sometimes the strip club is the place that it feels like you can like have some, what's it called? Equality, have some, fairness in things. Sometimes you get a little bit of your power back.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe those are some of the reasons that feels.
Have you been watching She-Hulk at all on Disney Plus?
No, is it good? I've been reluctant. I didn't love the last Marvel.
It's fun, and the last episode was probably one of the weaker ones. There's only 6 of them, so this week will be the finale. But overall, they're pretty fun.
I saw Megan Thee Stallion was in one, and my interest was piqued.
Yeah, yeah, that was a fun one. But
Yeah.
You made me think of one of the lines in it where she's talking about, because this is in the commercial, so she gets on the dating app as She-Hulk, and she gets on there, and she's recalling dates later that the guys are explaining to her line of work, mansplaining her line of work to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just like,
that's literally what I do.
yeah.
I usually can let it go. I don't always need to like let someone know they're stupid. This is something I said last week in my art of detachment conversation, but I'll just bounce. I'm just like, I don't like the way you're talking down to me, or I don't like the way, I don't always have like a witty repartee with them. Sometimes I'm just like, you're not someone I'm trying to fuck with right now.
Yeah.
You obviously don't appreciate me and my whoever, what I'm good at, what I understand, my knowledge. You're not picking up on that. So I don't need to double down for you to know that, because I already know that, But yeah, interesting.
And Tattle Tits will be the name of the episode. Just a note.
That's a Cookie quote. Cookie says that a lot. I don't know where she got it. I'm sure it's like a saying. I don't know that she like made it up. She might have. But yeah, she says that kind of stuff a lot. But yeah, go tattle tits on me in the strip club.
And you can listen to our last episode. When
With Cookie.
Yeah, with Cookie.
Yeah.
Cookie's back.
She's such a clever human. I love her.
She is. That was a very fun conversation.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I just have a ball with her. So I'm like, I hope other people are liking this too.
Well, I did.
Some of these I don't understand. Oh, wait. Is it wrong to masturbate?
Of course not.
No, it's perfectly healthy. But like we said, I think all things in moderation, keep a balance. If you're masturbating all day, every day, maybe pull it back to an hour a day or something.
Okay.
This is a good one. What do you do to keep yourself grounded while being in the industry? And this is good because I'm literally grounding right now. I got one of those grounding mats that you plug into the wall. Have you heard of this?
No.
So you can look it up. It sounds very like woo-woo weird, but like there's a lot of what seems like scientific evidence backing it. And I actually have the book right here. It's called Earthing, the most important health discovery ever. But I forget what word it is, but there's like, I want to say electrons. Obviously, I'm not great at science, but just that getting your body connected to the earth can reduce inflammation and things like that based on, I don't know, getting something about magnetics. I don't really know. I'm going to be real with you. I'm like searching through this book, like maybe it'll tell me. No, oh, something to do with electricity. Anywho, you'll have to do your own. Oh, are you electron deficient?
Probably.
Something to do with electrons. But like I've said before, I'm all about like, even if it doesn't work, if you're giving messages to your brain that I'm doing things to stay healthy, I'm doing things to support my health and wellness, I think your brain picks up on that. So sometimes I'm like, I don't care if this grounding mat works or not. I care that I care enough to make efforts to take care of myself,
Yeah.
But
Right now,
Go
I'm
ahead.
doing that with Instacart. I go and do one order a day in the morning, just to get myself outside and out and about.
Oh
And
yeah, that's
I've been
great
doing
for
that
what
for a
you're.
couple months now, and it just sounds like you seem so much happier the last month, just being out that little bit every day.
Interesting. Yeah, I think seeing the sun is good for you. I think putting your feet on the earth is good for you. The grounding mats are I'm an indoor cat, and so I don't get out much, especially I don't get out much. Like I might go on a walk, but I'm not going to go on a walk barefoot. But yeah, I think it's good to do things like that. But as far as grounded in other ways, one of the thoughts I had was, and I think I shared this last season, that I try pretty hard to stay grounded by not taking what anyone says to heart, whether it's good or bad. Because I think it's hard to stay grounded if you're listening to everybody else.
Yeah.
It's hard because sometimes that means that it's difficult for me to take compliments, but it also makes it almost impossible for you to fuck with me because I already know that whatever you say, like I don't need to take to heart. And so that's been helpful to me, just that like even with the good feedback, that sometimes it's things like you're the most beautiful woman in the world, or you're the best dancer ever, or just things that like if I really let that like land, or like let those kind of compliments go to my head, it would be very hard to stay very grounded.
Yeah.
And that in the same way, if someone like comments somehow on what I'm lacking, that could swing me in the other direction. That could swing me into feeling really low and swing me into feeling really insecure. So yeah, I try to take compliments, but I try to just listen to what people say and just take it with a grain of salt. That's kind of the phrase, is like, oh, okay, that's input you're giving, and I'll do what I want with it. Maybe it's helping me feel more confident, so I'm going to roll with that. But I'm often just like, if someone gives a big compliment that feels like, I mean, sometimes it just feels like, I don't know why you're saying that. Like, that's obviously not true, but thanks anyways. But yeah, those are some of the ways I feel like I try to stay grounded. And I know I've tripled, quadrupled down on this. I take a lot of time off. I think that helps me stay pretty grounded in my life. Try to keep up my important friendships and relationships outside of the club. That seems to help me stay pretty grounded. Try to, like, when I can, pay attention to those important relationships and nurture those just as much as I do the relationships that are making me money. Because sometimes it feels like money relationships way up here, other relationships like lower, but like I need both. They're both really important. So
Yeah, totally get that.
yeah. Other ways I stay grounded. I was going to say I try to eat really well. I feel like that helps me stay grounded. I don't know why, but it does. But yeah, what ways do you stay grounded?
Um, I just, kind of step back and relax. Sometimes if I'm feeling like anxious or something, I just kind of take a step back.
Yeah.
So like every few hours I find an excuse to go outside or,
Mhm.
just lay down on the bed a few minutes away from my desk, just kind of change the scenery for a minute.
Yeah, it helps. It helps. That's part of why I smoke. I'm not sure I've talked much on here about, I don't always smoke, but I like to smoke at work. And part of that is just that I want to go outside. Which isn't the best habit or the best way, but I would say smoking does help keep me grounded. But yeah,
I miss smoking.
you miss smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I took 2 weeks off and I never even thought about a cigarette. You know what I mean? Like I don't smoke very regularly. And I try to look at it and see it for what it is. Like I'm doing something naughty that feels good, um, to help keep balance in my life. I don't know. And to not overdo it or not to like smoke every day or like chain smoke. I can chain smoke at work sometimes. Like I can just sit out on the patio and like have one right after another. I try to never do that. Um, but yeah, I try to keep it, you know.
It's weird to think that back when I went to the clubs that you could smoke inside.
Yeah.
So I've been at your club up at the rail or whatever, smoking while watching it. Yeah, it's bizarre to
Huh.
think.
Yeah, we had someone light up some cigarettes at the stage recently. That was funny. And then, of course, they were told like there's no smoking in here. But I always think it's funny that people come to Utah and don't expect us to have a lot of the same laws that every other state has, um, if not like more rigid laws. So I think that's funny.
Yeah, we're behind the times about 50 years, but not with that stuff like that. We're the first, get rid of
Yeah,
smoking.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, this one says, how much can you bench? Did I ask that one yet?
I don't think so. No.
How much can you bench? I don't bench a ton. And I've said in my recent episodes, I'm kind of just getting back into lifting recently. But I do think bench is important because I have shoulder issues. And I do think building your chest muscles was from what the doctors told me will help stabilize your shoulders. But I'm never, for years, I've not been someone who goes for big, heavy weights. I go for high reps, low weight. So I don't know. Recently, I've been like using some fives. I can do heavy, like whenever I kind of do want to test my strength. I can go very heavy. I just don't want that. Let's see what else we got.
She does have some great arms. Last season when we recorded in person, that one day you had short sleeve shirt, and
Oh yeah, you said
got
I have
the
Michelle Obama arms, right?
yep.
Yeah, my arms are, because everything I do at work, floor work, pole, rail work, it's all using my arms. So even if I don't lift, I'm gonna have some jacked arms. Let's see. Why I don't understand. I'm going to say it anyways. Why did you not leave the chi?
Why did you not leave the chi?
Why did you not leave the chi? I have no idea. I'm trying to find any meaning in that, and I can't do it. Who asked that? Maybe I'll message him and be like, "What the fuck did you mean?" Let's see what else we got. Oh, I think that might be it on my side. Do you want to wrap up with a couple of yours?
Yeah. Oh, just kind of as a buffer. I sent you the thing about on America's Got Talent. The second place person is like,
Was a pole artist.
yeah,
And they had visual, like really cool video visuals with it.
yeah, like the background that like interacted with her dancing. It's just,
Yeah, I enjoyed that. And I love anytime there's representation for, you know, the craft that I love in mainstream media.
one of the biggest stages in the world, because that's on
Yeah.
2 or 3 times a year, and all sorts of people, and she been out comedians and all sorts of people. So
What did you remember her name?
I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
It's on the tip of my brain. Let's see. I can look at the message I sent you. It will tell me there.
Christy Sellers.
Yes.
Congrats, Christy Sellers. Good for you. That was fucking artistic as hell.
And we'll put that in the show notes too, the video.
Cool.
All right. The first one here is, we're doing this in reverse order because we get some after the show, after we record shows and stuff. So do you have a middle name?
Hang on just 2 secs. I gotta plug in my computer or it's gonna die on me. Sorry, technical
No,
difficulties.
it's okay. I'll share my middle name.
What's your name?
My middle name is synonymous with sex work. My middle name's John.
Ah, John. Classic. My middle name is actually my maiden name because I wasn't given a middle name the way some females are not given one so that they can keep their maiden name as their middle name. I won't say what it is because that's a little further than I want to go, but yes, I have a middle name now because
Yeah,
I was married. So I still have my married last name. I keep meaning to change it, but it's just not at the top of my list. But yeah.
interesting. Yeah, my mom didn't have a middle name either.
Yeah, you know, that's the way some parents do that.
My grandpa and my dad both had the middle name John, but we didn't pass that on to our son. But he is named after a John in a certain way. So the next one is, do you have an imaginary friend?
We've gotten this before, right?
Yeah.
And I said, didn't I say that I have an Ambien friend
Oh yeah.
who just is really sweet and has my back when I take Ambien, but I don't remember anything that she does, so it's kind of like an imaginary friend. But not classically. I don't think I classically have an imaginary friend. I mean, I think I have multiple personalities, like not in like a mental health issue kind of way, but like in a different portions of my personality that come out at different times. But that's, I think, from what I've understood, most people have that. Your different roles come out with different people, with your kids, with your parents, with your friends, your work persona, you know. So I have imaginary friends kind of like that, different parts of my personality.
Did you ever watch United States of Terra?
I love United States of Terra. So good.
Good show, yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Collette? She's just amazing on that show.
Yeah, she's so good.
All right, and the next one. We've had this question before, and I think we even dedicated a whole last season to it. Have you ever had any surgery?
Oh yeah, there's a whole whole episode about that. Yeah, I've had surgeries that were needed and some that were elective. um, right now, I know that I probably should have surgery on my shoulders and my knees because they've told me to, but I kind of refuse. But yeah, I also do, yeah, occasionally aesthetic, you know, procedures. Um, but yeah, go back and listen to that last season where we talk all about my many, fun surgeries I've had.
Yeah, and hear the description of the lip injections. Yeah, that's
Oh God, right?
that's wonderful to hear.
That is gnarly. And so many women are totally unfazed by it. Like they just don't feel like it's that big a deal. But like anything I've had done that includes a needle or cutting or anything like that, I feel like it's been super intense. And pain is beauty, right?
Exactly. Well, that's it. We're all caught up on this end too.
Cool. All right. Well, that's great because I gotta run to work.
Oh,
But thanks
yeah,
for
your work's back open. How are the new floors?
they only did like a small portion of the floors, so I was a little confused by that. Like maybe a tenth of the whole floors, but they did redo the stages and they're glittery. They put like some kind of glitter in like the resin or something. And so the glitter is coming off on us on stage, which isn't a bad look. But I do actually like the glitter stages because when you're dancing on them and doing tricks, rolling around, it kind of makes me feel a little glamorous. I'm like, oh, shimmery, shiny, glittery stage. Fun. But yeah, we're open again. And yeah,
Glitter's always a nice addition to that type of atmosphere.
yeah. Let's bring more glamour and shimmer to the industry.
And throw glitter on married men so they get in trouble when they get.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be an issue because I mean, if it's getting on us, it's probably traveling elsewhere. That's funny. And I think I had a moment with my boyfriend recently where he saw some glitter on me when I got home and he's like, where did that come from?
Work.
And I was like, work? They put glitter on the stages. But yeah, if I'm getting a little heat at home, I can't imagine. Where the fuck did this glitter come from? Sorry, I said the F word a lot this episode.
That's okay. I hope YouTube will still give us money for the episodes we swear in. I don't know the rules on that level, but.
So should I not say so much of suck my dick and suck my dick?
We're going to be so famous soon that if they don't, pay us for one video, we'll still be all right.
Okay, I like this. I'm gonna think the same way as you. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for your questions. The questions are really fun, and I love doing this. I'm just so grateful people are sending questions. So thank you, and keep them coming.
And we'll be back next week, and then a week after that, and then we'll take a little break through the holidays. So. Thank you, everybody, and follow us on Ask the Stripper and Molly the Stripper on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.